Your governors recognize minority leader. Minority leader. We are going to set up this ad hoc committee to look into your party affairs. Answer my question. Your governors recognize Sam Daddy?
No, let me answer the question. The Senate President has asked me a question. No. He can't recognize you when he asked me a question, and I have not answered.
Sorry, leader, because the different factions are in court, let him answer so that he will voice a fait accompli on the court.
I'm coming under the constitutional point of order 68G. And with your kind permission, Mr. President, without prejudice to the mood of the Senate, Mr. President, if you allow me, I will raise this point of order. And point order 68 touches on the tenure of seats of members. And so, Mr. President, today we have what has been characterized as earth-shaking, earth-moving.
Your point of order is on...
Constitutional point of order.
Read this section of the Constitution.
Okay, Mr. President. Mr. President, point of constitutional order of the Federal Republic of Nigeria Constitution 1999 as amended, Section 68. A member of the Senate or of the House of Representatives shall vacate his seat in the House of which he is a member if he, G, being political party before the expiration of the period for which that House was elected, provided that his membership of the latter party is not as a result of a division in the political party of which he was previously a member, or of a merger of two or more political parties and factions, by one of which he was previously sponsored. Mr. President, I feel very sad today that one of us...
You move and you read it. I want you to read it again. The point of order you raised says that anybody who is sponsored by a political party shall remain in that political party except the political party is in turmoil. Yeah, I want you to read for members to hear. That's what I'm saying. Let him finish.
Mr. President?
No, I said read first. Now I want the members to hear.
Mr. President, I have read the constitutional point of order 68G to the effect that I feel very sad that one of us actually has left the PDP today as announced at this plenary. Mr. President, I also want to feel very sad that today, with the movement, there is a sad commentary on our party system. But having said that, I want to posit here, Mr. President, that sad as it was, because all efforts were made to address the concerns of our distinguished senator, but he has left because he has that fundamental right of movement. But we must put it on record, the provisions of our Constitution. That is the purpose of my coming under Order 68G of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Because, Mr. President, as I'm speaking to you now, there is no division in PDP. We may be having issues in PDP. There is crisis, no doubt about it, but definitely there is no division in the rank and file and the leadership of the PDP. Thank you, Mr. President.
Yes.
I'm also coming under constitutional point of order in respect to Section 68, subsection G of the Constitution. And I go directly to that area. Provided that after all the lengthy explanation about one decampment from one party to the other, cross-capital. It is stated that clearly that the Constitution allows anyone here to decamp, allows any senator or member of House of Assembly to decamp, provided that there is a division in the political party of which he was previously a member, or a merger of two or more political parties or fashion by one of which he was previously sponsored. Mr. President, everybody knows in this country that is a split in the PDP. You have the wicked faction, you have Bala Muhammad and his co-faction, and so on and so forth. Even a boy on the street knows this. And why is the minority leader telling what is he telling us? There is a faction, Mr. President. Do you belong to wicked faction or Bala Muhammad faction? Which faction do you belong? Mr. President, there are factions. So what our colleague did, there are two factions, two divisions.
That is not division.
Two divisions. There's wicked division. Mr. President, we have the wicked faction. We also have Bala Muhammad or Bauchi, who has his own faction. Even Ekiti State. So, Mr. President, what he has done is in line with our Constitution. It's in line with our Constitution.
Yeah, your point of order, in your submission, you failed to ask the minority leader one small question. Who is your national secretary? Why I'm mentioning this to you is that the governors have their national secretary. The other members have their national secretary.
Point of constitutional order.
I mean, I'm not supposed to know. But I am also a Nigerian and a politician. But I know that for them, once there is a division in the NWC, not at the state level, once there is a division in the NWC, the National Working Committee, any member of the party has a right to look for succor elsewhere. Very fundamental and constitutionally guaranteed. So if the minority leader can answer me, currently, who is the national secretary? Because the national secretary is leading a different faction, and the other national, in fact, there is one of our colleagues, Sam Daddy, Senator. We don't even have to go there. Your point of order is upheld. Yes.
Mr. President, let me answer that question. You asked me a question. I have a right to answer that question. Are you the presiding officer? Leader, you are not the presiding. He asked me a question. No, let me answer the question. The Senate President has asked me a question. No. He can't recognize you when he asked me a question and I have not answered.
Sorry, Leader, because the different factions are in court, let him answer so that he will voice a fait accompli on the court. Yeah, you know why I'm saying that? It is sub judice for the Senate or any member of the Senate to take over the work of the justices of the Court of Appeal or the Supreme Court. Since I'm aware that the different factions are struggling in court, let him answer the question. So answer.
Mr. President.
Answer.
Mr. President, I want to say at this point that the PDP is a law-abiding institution organization. And so the Court of Appeal made a pronouncement on the secretaryship of the party. And the party is adhering to that Court of Appeal decision until it is otherwise ruled.
What has the Supreme Court said?
The Court of Appeal has ruled that Senator Anyanwu is the secretary of the party, and that until the Supreme Court decides otherwise, and the party as a law-abiding organization is adhering to it.
What about your governors? What did your governors say? Your governors recognize minority leader, we are going to set up this ad hoc committee to look into your party affairs. Answer my question. Your governors recognize Sam Daddy? Your governors recognize Anyanwu as the secretary of the party?
Well, the party is an organization. The party is an organization,
your PDP
Mr.
Governors
President.
Forum.
The party is an organization. The governor has a forum. And so as members of the party, they are entitled to their opinion. But as a party, we recognize the pronouncements of the court, and we abide by the rulings of the court.
Well, for me, if you can, I will not set up the ad hoc committee now because of the fact that people are still running between Court of Appeal and Supreme Court. But if you can convince the Supreme Court, I will. No, I don't. You see, there's a motion on ground that we should set up ad hoc committee to look into the crisis. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that because I don't want to take over the work of the court. So please, minority leader, don't be afraid. I won't set up the ad hoc committee. I so decide. Yes, leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, oh, minority leader, please don't go. This concerns you. Mr. President, and very distinguished colleagues, I am rising on a constitutional point of order. No, that's not true. I'm writing on a constitutional point of order.
This takes precedence. I will not set up that ad hoc committee.
Mr. President.
Constitution overruled. Constitution.
Mr. President, my constitutional point of order is hinged on Section 232 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended. As a matter of fact, relevant to my own submission will be the entire Chapter 7 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria that has to do with the judicature, the judicial arm of government. While I want to thank the minority leader for the grandstanding that he has done on the floor today, which was expected of him as the minority leader anyway, and I want him to know that the PDP Secretariat has already taken note of his action here, and I congratulate him on that. However, this is a matter that rests squarely on the Constitution, the right of every legislator to cross carpet. And the Constitution defines the circumstances under which that can happen. And our own rules also take legislative note of that constitutional provision. The minority leader himself defeated himself by reading the proviso to Section G, Section 68, sub G. The proviso, whether or not there is division in PDP, is a matter of fact that will not be tried on the floor of this Senate. They can go to the court of law. It is visible, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, even to the blind, that there are sharp divisions in the PDP as of today. Wike is leading one faction, and the other faction is being led by, the other Mohammed. But I wish distinguished Senator Alero could address us on this, but we will insulate him on this. And even Senator Ningi, we will insulate him on this. Mr. President, I want to appeal that you save the precious time of this Senate by ensuring that we bring this discussion and this debate to a close, because it is an attempt to distract us. It is an attempt to take away from the credit of the APC that has gained a major, member today. And it is also an attempt to fetter the discretion of other members of PDP and other minority parties who may be looking forward to joining APC. It is the constitutional right of everyone to cross carpet, as long as you fulfill the constitutional provisions of Section 68 sub G. And if anyone is in doubt as to that, the courtroom is waiting to adjudicate on this. I thank you, sir. We cannot take over the job of the court.
Mr. President, we are not afraid of the court. We are not afraid of the court. I am not grandstanding. I want to point out here and I stand to be corrected, that PDP is not divided. APC also has places in court. Are they divided? Is there division in APC?
The point of order.
APC is in court.
The point of order raised by
division?
the Senate leader is hereby.
Mr. President, there is no division in PDP.
The minority leader, we have ruled. And you need to know that even the Constitution says where the Senate President is satisfied that there is a division. And the Senate President, you have failed to convince the Senate President and the Senate that there's no. Unfortunately, when you were speaking, you alluded to the fact that there is division and you are talking about court. This is not a court of law. What we are doing here is based on what? The Constitution. So I want to thank you. You are making the job easier for APC. There are things you shouldn't comment on. In fact, can I have the names of the people for the ad hoc committee to look into this issue? Okay, I'll forgive them. So that is overruled. Yes, Senate, DSP.
SP, Order 9. Mr. President, a senator desiring to speak shall raise his hand in his place, and if called upon, shall rise and address his observations to the President of the Senate or the Chairman. Mr. President, our minority leader is a very, very experienced legislator. He knows the game, he knows the rules. But he has been getting not to speak without your permission, Mr. President. So, Mr. President, I call on you. He spoke thrice. He spoke 3 times without your permission. I therefore call on you so that you can direct the bureaucracy to expunge all what he said, because all what he said was not in conformity with our rule because he did not recognize him. Mr. Chairman, Mr. President, I still submit.
Distinguished Deputy Senate President, you know I am a Democrat, and you know I am very liberal. And you know, sometimes I give a lot of respect to even those who do not deserve the respect. But in this particular case, the minority leader will be blamed by his own faction of the PDP if he did not stand up to say what he said. So you know that what happened is it was nothing but grandstanding. And he also knows that once there is a clear-cut division in the NWC, that any member can go to wherever he wishes. So I don't want us to, we are hide under one finger. Minority leader, your point of order is noted. However, your request is ruled out of order. Yes, Leader of the Senate.